Hey, it's your girl Carla Renata, aka the Curvy Film Critic. If this is your first time here, welcome back to another broadcast. It's episode number 133, I believe, either 132 or 133. And I'm your host, Carla Renata. What I do here is I talk to people above and below the line in the film industry. Sometimes I have interviews, sometimes I don't, but I always have a review and some nice juicy tidbits in the film industry for you. So let me tell you what happened with me last week real quick before we get into it. So last week for Film Independent, I did a Q&A with Julie Taymor. It was supposed to be with Julie Taymor and Gloria Steinem, but Gloria Steinem had some unexpected emergency back surgery. So I wanted to take this time to wish her a happy recovery. And I hope that her back surgery went really well. Superstore, you guys know that I'm also an actress and I recur as Janet on Superstore. Superstore was supposed to premiere on NBC on October 19th. It has now been pushed back to October 29th. I'm sure that's going to change in light of Donald Trump getting COVID. So stay tuned for some news on that. And I also attended the premiere of a show that's coming on to Showtime called The Good Lord Bird with Ethan Hawke, where he is crazy as hell, but really good. And it centers around the abolitionist John Brown, who is being played by Ethan Hawke. But today I have a live guest. I haven't had a live guest in a while, but I have a live guest. She's a little live wire. Her name is Kalia Love Jones. She is a 13-year-old filmmaker. 13 years old. I just need for that to sink in for y'all for a second. 13 years old, a filmmaker. She has a short film called The Power of Hope. Now, Kalia and I and her mom and dad and publicists and everything, we connected actually on Instagram. They sent me a message asking me to review her film. At the time, she wasn't slated to be in a film festival or anything, but honey, things shift and change very quickly. And now she has just experienced having her film show at the Urbanworld Film Festival. It is called The Power of Hope. It's based on a Michelle Obama speech. It is beautifully done. I enjoyed it so much. So without further ado, I don't want to keep talking about the film and not have y'all hear from the filmmaker herself. Miss Kalia Love Jones is here with me today.
Hi.
Hi, darling. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Now, am I pronouncing your name right? It's Kalia, right?
Kalia.
Kalia. See, that's what I get. Kalia. I thought I was doing something. I researched it and everything and still messed it up. So please forgive me. I hate when people mess up my name. So let's talk. Let me first say congratulations to you for you to be such a brilliant young lady at this young age is very enviable, is very inspiring. And I wanted to know, I know you were dabbling in some gymnastics. So how did you go from, I think I'm gonna be a gymnast to, I think I want to be a filmmaker?
Well, I think I've always wanted to be a filmmaker. I've always just loved watching like just TV shows and movies and just whatever I could watch. I always loved like seeing people be able to send a message through like entertainment, and I wanted to do something like that. And I just loved I've always loved art and music and art, and I thought filmmaking is a good way to like express myself and like send out messages to people.
Now, what was it about the Michelle Obama speech that inspired you to call your film The Power of Hope? Because this is what I really loved about it. There was no dialogue ever. There was not one word ever spoken, but the message still comes across loud and clear. So for people that have not seen The Power of Hope, but will see it, because I'm going to put that out there, they will see it. Tell them what the premise is and how you came about coming up with that premise for The Power of Hope.
I think Michelle Obama, she's always been such a huge inspiration to me. She has such a big effect on so many people.
Mm-hmm.
And I just loved seeing just the way she affects a lot of people around her. And I loved her message in the speech. And so I wanted to use it in a film to be able to send out my message as well.
I love how you got your poster behind you. Good marketing. Your parents are some smart cookies. Either they did that or you did that. Whoever did it, it's some smart marketing. Good on y'all. Thumbs up all the way around on that. Now, I know you had now was it the world premiere at the Urbanworld Film Festival, or had it premiered before that?
I think it hasn't premiered, or yeah, Urbanworld was its premiere, first premiere, but soon it's gonna have an LA premiere tomorrow, starting at 6 a.m. At LA Shorts Film Festival, and
I'm so excited. My face is hurting smiling for you. I'm so excited for you because as a female film critic of color, I'm about to cry. You about to make me cry, girl. Kalia, you about to make me cry. As a female film critic of color, it gives me no greater joy than to lift someone else up who is of color. And it gives me no greater joy. It gives me even more greater joy to lift up someone who is as young as yourself, because the film looked like it was made by, a massive team of people, and it was just you and a couple of folks that helped you get it together. But how does it feel to go from having this idea to drawing it out, making it tangible, and then having it premiere in a film festival? That's huge. Do you know how many people apply for those festivals and get turned down? A lot. You got in. What does that feel like for you? If you can articulate into words how that makes you feel.
I was very happy to be making a film, but like it's been like, at the first it was a little scary, but now I'm like starting to get used to it.
Good. What was scary about it for you?
Like like getting attention, being like interviewed,
being judged.
Yeah, being judged was scary.
Yeah, nobody wants to be judged, especially when there's always going to be some chucklehead out there with something crazy to say. But there's going to be nothing crazy to say about this film because it was absolutely excellent. I actually shed a tear, girl, watching that film. I'm so overcome with emotion. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And I'm so happy that you guys reached out to me on Instagram and that your parents and your publicist allowed you to take a moment out of your weekend night to talk to me, because I really wanted to make sure that people knew who you were. I have a very small audience, but they're small and they're loyal and they like to run their mouths just like I do. So I'm hoping that we get the word out. So again, it's going to be at the LA Shorts Festival tomorrow at 6 a.m.
Yeah, starting at 6 a.m.
Eastern time or Pacific time? She's like, I don't know. Look, y'all, go to the LA Shorts Film Festival website and find it there. You'll be able to get all the information there. So Kalia, I'm not going to hold you any longer, but I really just wanted to lift you up, show you some love, and tell everybody about your film and let them know that we got a budding Ava DuVernay in our midst. We got a budding Michelle Williams in our midst. We have all those people that you listed as your inspirations at the end of the film. You are all of those people, and I see you doing wonderfully great things. I'm so proud and happy for you. Thank you so incredibly much for coming on and talking to me today.
Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure, boo-boo. Bye.
Bye.
I really love lifting other people up. It gives me such joy to be able to put the spotlight on other people so that they can get love and appreciation and support. And I love doing that. I love doing it even more so when it's a child. And she's gorgeous. She's smart. I'm telling y'all, this film, I wouldn't be surprised if this film ends up being in Oscar contention for Best Short Film. I really would not be surprised because it's really that good. It is expertly animated. There's not one piece of dialogue. It follows this little girl who wants to be an architect. She ends up losing her dad. And instead of cowering and succumbing to that feeling of loss, that feeling of grief that can sometimes paralyze you in the process, This young lady's like, I'm going to make my dad proud. I'm going to go to school. She becomes an architect. And the good thing about becoming an architect, like Kalia says, is that you can draw what can become a reality. This is coming from a 13-year-old filmmaker. I'm just saying it was everything. And speaking of animation, so thanks, Kalia, for coming on. Speaking of animation, I have to give my boy Brandon a shout out. Whenever we talk about animation projects on the Curvy Critic, he always draws a picture for me, and he always has something out there for me. So he drew a picture of Burrow that is on it's on Twitter that he sent me, and it is absolutely fantabulous. Burrow is a short film, another short film that is produced by Pixar that's going to open right before you see the movie Soul, which stars Jamie Foxx and Phylicia Rashad. So right before you see Soul, they're going to show this short called Burrow, and it was really wonderful. I'll have some post about that in the next couple of days. But thank you, Brandon. Appreciate you. Let me get some shout outs in the chat room. I'm going to give a shout out to my boy, Michael B. I just gave a shout out to you, Brandon. So acknowledge that I gave you a shout out. You asked me and I did it. You know how I roll. I also have somebody new, someone who has been helping me out a lot, like my girl Mac, who you can't see, but she's helping me out here. So my little team, my little small but mighty team includes Mac and Kazuza. Thank you, Kazuza, for coming in and watching the show. All right, so let me get on to these other reviews, so that I don't waste a whole lot of time. All right, so next up is a film that I saw. So I got invited to a very special Q&A screening of a film called 40-Year-Old Version. Not Virgin, not the Steve Carell film, but Version, Version, 40-Year-Old Version. And it is written, directed, and starring Radha Blank. This film showed up at Sundance, and it took everybody by storm. I remember being at Sundance and everybody was talking about, oh, you got to see 40-Year-Old Version. You got to see 40-Year-Old Version. Everybody was talking about it. Basically what it is produced by Netflix. So it will be streaming and available on Netflix this week. It's shot in black and white. Radha in this Q&A said that she was raised by a cinephile. That's where her love of film came from. She's raised by a cinephile just like me. I've spoken very often on this show about my mother and how much my mother inspired me to become a film critic and inspired my love of cinema. So Radha and I have that in common. But this film is like a love letter to hip hop in the same way that Love Jones was, in the same way that Brown Sugar was. But it's from the perspective of a 40-year-old Black woman who is stepping into this second act of her life. And the second act of her life, is looking more like her she wants to be a rapper. So that's the premise of it. But she's spitting rhymes, y'all, that had me hollering. There's this one rhyme that she spits where she says something like farting, but my butt, the other word for butt, y'all know what it is. Farting, but my butt had other plans. I laughed out loud. I laughed out loud a lot during this film at some of them rhymes that she had. Her knees creaking and talking about her knees creaking, like all of the things that hit anybody who's turning 40, she takes it and spits it into rhymes. She also addresses something that's very, very integral and very timely to what's going on right now, is the fact it brings up the question of how Black artists and but the difference between Black artists and white gatekeepers. Who decides if or how a story is Black and relevant? And that's often a situation that happens between Black artists and white gatekeepers. They see the world very differently than we see ourselves in it. They address that in this film, in addition to ageism, in addition to a beautiful love story that happens with her and this first-time actor named Odion Benjamin. Let me tell you something. My boy, for a first-time actor and somebody that's huge in the rap scene, he was everything. I really loved seeing him in that film. And at the end of the day, the bigger question that this film asks is, how long have Black artists been wearing a mask out of fear, being ostracized, or being fired? That's a lot going on in one film, but I promise you it is totally worth it. Again, it is called 40-Year-Old Version, Version. It is being streamed on Netflix this week, October 8th or 9th, I believe. All right, so next up is this film that I saw again on Netflix. I'm always talking about something on Netflix. Y'all know that. It's called Boys in the Band. Now, it was off Broadway in New York for a long time, a little while ago, and got fabulous reviews. And it's written by this man named Mark Crowley, who sadly is no longer with us. But this film version on Netflix was directed by Joe Mantello and produced by Ryan Murphy, excuse me. The soundtrack for this was, I wanted to go out running by the soundtrack like yesterday. It's a lot of songs from the 60s, but really apropos to what's happening storyline wise in the film. And then they ended with like a melancholy jazz feel. I just love the soundtrack. It just gave me all the vibes and all the feels. And the film centers around this birthday party for one of their friends named Harold. Michael, who's played by Jim Parsons, throws this birthday party for Harold and invites a bunch of their close friends. And baby, it's a birthday party that goes terribly awry when one of Michael's high school friends, I believe his name is Alan, shows up. And Alan is actually a closeted queen, but trying to act like he's not. And he's left his wife, and he's got a whole bunch of stuff going on that becomes revealed throughout the course of the film. It's a deep little film, though, so don't be fooled. The film is called The Boys in the Band, but it is not a musical piece. I'm just letting you know. It's deep, but it's well worth the watch. They had me cracking up as they were outside doing a little dance thing, and they called themselves Geriatric Rockettes. I hollered. And then they have this kind of truth and dare thing throughout the film. Well, not throughout the film, but toward the center of the film, where they do a phone call, Truth or Dare. And it was just brutal. Ooh, child, it was a lot. But again, it's called The Boys in the Band. It's streaming on Netflix. You guys check it out when you have an opportunity. Now, another film I saw is called Charm City Kings. Now, I actually saw this film earlier in the year before the pandemic hit, and then they kept pushing the film back, pushing it back. It actually was supposed to be released in August by another studio, but now it's going to be released on October 8th, and it's being produced by HBO Max. Will and Jada Smith are the producers, in addition to HBO Max, along with their partner James Lasseter for Overbrook Productions. Now, side note and FYI, but not really, about this film, I did the reading for this film, and at the time it was called Biker Boys. There's a picture of me somewhere on the gram or somewhere on the internet of me and Will Smith. That picture was taken the day that I did the reading for this film, when it was called Biker Boys. And it basically takes place in Baltimore. It centers around this 14-year-old boy named Mouse, who's played by Diallo Winston, and he attempts to join this biker group called the Midnight Clique. They're like an infamous Baltimore dirt bike group, a group of dirt bike riders, I should say, who rule the streets in the summertime. You know, there's always somebody that's popping off in the summertime, and the Midnight Clique is that clique in Baltimore that's popping off. But when Midnight's leader, Blacks, who's played by Meek Mill, takes Mouse under his wing, Mouse soon finds himself between the straight and narrow and a road filled with fast money and violence. Now, this is what I loved about this film. I love that Mouse had aspirations to build his own bike with his own two hands, which he does. I love that he had aspirations to come out of the hood and become a vet and make something out of his life. I really love that they paid homage and made it real when you are a teenager and you're a girl and you like some boy, you know, who you're not supposed to be liking, and y'all are like all thick as thieves in the summertime, and then that summer's over, and then you guys lose communication for whatever reason, and then you see each other years later, and it's almost like that summer never happened. They address that particular issue when it comes to young love. I really like that. But the thing that I love the most about Charm City Kings is the performance of Diallo Winston. He is giving the most fantabulous breakout performance in a film that I've seen in quite some time. So again, you guys, Charm City Kings, streaming on HBO Max on October 8th. Now, y'all know I talk about going to Howard University all the time. If I'm not talking about Howard University, I'm talking about St. Louis, Missouri. It's one or the other or both, right? Okay. So needless to say, when I got approved to do an interview with my Howard University Bison, Phylicia Rashad, y'all know I was over here turning 5,000 cartwheels and flips, right? Because I truly was. I was like, what? It's Phylicia Rashad. Hey. So, yes, I interviewed Phylicia Rashad for a film that she has coming out called Black Box. I am not going to review the film Black Box because it is under embargo until later on this week. But what I am going to do is I'm going to show you this interview that I had with Phylicia Rashad, where we talked about, she's kind of moving on to the dark side, and it's right on time with the whole Halloween October vibe. But we talk about that and some other things. It's a real short 5 minutes, but take a look and a listen to my interview with the incomparable, talented Howard University Bison, Phylicia Rashad. This film, girl, I'm not the horror doll, but it scared the hell out of me. I spent half of it like this. I was like, oh, and I'm a horror lightweight, but what I want to ask you is, it was giving me vibes of like Get Out meets Black Swan meets Pursuit of Happiness, right? And you in particular are so adored in our entertainment community across all different mediums, across all different lanes. And I saw you on Broadway in August Osage County. I've seen you in Gem of the Ocean. I've seen you in Head of the Passes in so many different roles. But as of late, you're starting to lean into these kind of like dark characters that are kind of not morally normal, so to speak. What is it that's drawing you to these characters? I know that it's fun and it's totally not the way people are used to seeing you, but what specifically for you as a professional draws you into wanting to do those types of roles?
The absence of judgment.
Ooh, nice. Mm-hmm. Nice. I like that. Mm-hmm. Absence of judgment. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. And there's a line in the movie that says, I run my mind doesn't run me. And it reminds me of how people in the Black and brown communities, how mental illness is a stigma within our community. And oftentimes people that have those mental illnesses, mm-hmm. they think that their mind is running them, but they actually have a little more control than they think. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts about how we as a culture handle mental illness?
I think that mental illness should be a number one concern in this country. Mm-hmm. And I think that we should approach it with compassion and respect.
And what do you think about the film's overlying theme of the pressure to live up to other people's expectations? Have you found that to be true in your career and in your life, or not?
Oh, honey, isn't that something we all face as individuals, as people? Isn't that something? And I remember feeling that distinctly as a teenager, in a different time, because I didn't grow up in a time where everything goes. You didn't just say and do just anything you thought to say and do. And wanting approval of others. And yes, that followed me on through my 20s into after college graduation. And then you realize that's really misplaced energy. And I found out that if I could please that self, everybody was pleased. But if that self was not pleased, nobody was pleased.
Mm. Cool.
It's not a selfish thing. It's not selfish in that way. It's not egotistical. It's not like that. It's really finding what lives inside you really. And it's beyond the thoughts that play in our minds, or even the emotions that we feel that are very real to us. There's something else that's bigger and brighter and more subtle and much, much more powerful. Mm-hmm.
Well, from one HU Bison to another, thank you for giving me your time this morning. I adore you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. To keep up with the Curvy Critic, like our page. Yes, I forgot to take the tag off. My bad. Sorry. But I love talking to Phylicia Rashad. She's so, I don't even have enough adjectives to describe her. She's so gracious and elegant and kind, and I just don't have enough adjectives to describe her. And I really have enjoyed watching her work evolve and change and shift over the years. And I'm kind of liking her on the dark side, even though she say that's not true. Yes, it is, Lish. You are on the dark side in these roles, but I am there for all of it. Yes, I am. So again, thank you, Phylicia Rashad, for taking time to talk to me about Black Box. And I will have a review for that and some other things about Black Box later on this week. I'm attending the virtual premiere, so I'll have some information about that for you guys. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Halloween before we get up out of here. It's October. It's Halloween month. I am not the horror doll. I have never said I was a horror doll. I don't want to be the horror doll. But, you know, people keep trying. I'm like Michael Corleone in The Godfather. I keep trying to step out and they keep reeling me back in. That's kind of like my theme for the month of October. But I wanted to bring light to you guys a film that's coming on HBO Max later on this month called Witches. It's starring my good girlfriend, Octavia Spencer, and it's also starring Anne Hathaway, who's giving me the Devil Wears Prada vibes all day long. She's going to be giving Meryl Streep a run for her money as Miranda Priestley in this, honey. But it looks like it's a lot of fun, and it doesn't look scary. It just looks like a nice, fun Halloween movie that all the family can kind of just sit down and chill out and have some popcorn and check it out. So be on the lookout for The Witches. I'll have a review for that later on for you guys, and maybe I'll grab an interview or two. I don't know. I also wanted to give homage and respect to my girl Elvira. Now, back in the day, I got a phone call because Elvira needed somebody to do this show with her that she was calling The Brew, which was actually making fun of The View. And it was me, Mindy Sterling, herself, and one other doll whose name escapes me at the moment. But the four of us were there sitting at this table, and we were basically doing a horror, campy spinoff of The View called The Brew. But, you know, what is Halloween without Elvira? So of course I had to give her some love and show this picture of the two of us getting it in. So big ups to Elvira. Maybe one day I can grab her and have her come over here and talk to me. Her real name is Cassandra Peterson. She is thebomb.com. When I worked with her, she was super nice and super cool, and I enjoyed every single second of that day. And it was kind of like a bucket list thing for me because I always wondered who she was. Okay, in FYI, but not really. So the day that I showed up to shoot that, I don't know why. I think she just walks around in that Elvira garb. Like I literally thought that that's what she looked like. And I'm like, well, where's the doll that's playing Elvira? Cassandra had been there the whole time. Cassandra Peterson is this gorgeous, stacked white chick with red hair and blue eyes and absolutely stunning. She had been there the whole time listening to me and watching me run my mouth. Thank goodness I didn't say nothing thank goodness I didn't write a check that I couldn't cash with my mouth. But she was nothing but super kind that day. But I just want to say it is officially Halloween, and we had to start off the month with a little Elvira homage and respect. So that is it for where can you find the show, Michael B? You can find the show. I think it's on YouTube. I think it's on Elvira's channel where you can find that show. It's called Elvira Mistress of the Dark, or I think it's called Elvira Mistress of the Dark, and it's on her YouTube channel. I can't stream it because she owns the rights to, that's her brand, and I would never infringe on her brand that way. But you can find it on her YouTube channel. It's hella funny, and it's really campy and crazy. So buckle up and get ready because that's exactly what it is. Oh, and let me just acknowledge C.A. Swift is in the room. C.A. Swift is a newcomer to the Curvy Critic with Carla Renata, so thank you for joining me. You said, nice interview. I was drawn here to watch the interview with Phylicia Rashad, but I will be back for other reviews. Oh, great. Thank you so much for popping in. I appreciate the love and respect and the shout out. I really do. All right, so next week, y'all, I will do a review of the trial of the Chicago 7. I will do a review of the way I see it. I keep wanting to call it The Way It Is, but it's The Way I See It. It is a documentary about Pete Souza and what he shot during the Reagan and Obama administrations. Is his unique perspective on those two administrations from a photographer's lens. And I have an interview with him and Oscar winner Laura Dern. Also this week, y'all, you can catch me over at the Blog Her site. I'm not sure if I'm moderating or if I'm a speaker. I'll find out later on. But at Blog Her, if you go to the Blog Her website, you will see me there on Thursday, October 9th. I'll be talking about branding, how to take your brand and hone it and make it uniquely your own, and how to make money off of it, basically. So that is what I have coming up this week. If this is your first time joining me, C.A. Swift and Kazuza, give me a big old thumbs up to let me know you were here. Click on so that you can click on the bell for those notifications. I am Carla Renata, the Curvy Film Critic. As always, it is my pleasure to bring you news, reviews, and interviews with people above and below the line. I will see you next week. And until then, love, peace, and hair grease. Deuces.